This is the ESM Podcast Show, where the love of Christ continues to grow. Lift your heart, let His presence glow. Together we rise, together we know. The ESM Podcast Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the ESM Podcast Show. This is an Elias Shepherd's Ministry produced show. We will focus our shows on Christian news from all over the world. We've got a really fascinating topic on the table today, something that might surprise a lot of you. We're going to talk about technology, specifically artificial intelligence, and how it's making its way into, of all places, the church. I mean, when you think about AI, you're usually picturing tech companies or maybe even sci-fi movies, right? But new research suggests it's now a significant part of how pastors are preparing their weekly sermons. Our resident expert on these trends is here to unpack this for us. So, it seems like AI is really becoming a go-to for sermon prep. What's the headline here?
It really is a surprising development, isn't it? The big takeaway from the latest study, the 2025 State of AI in the Church survey report, is that a clear majority of pastors are now using AI tools to help them write their sermons. We're talking about nearly 2/3 of church leaders who prepare sermons, which is a pretty significant number. It shows a rapid embrace of this technology within religious communities, and it's happening much faster than many people might have anticipated. They're not just dabbling, they're actually integrating it into their weekly routines.
Wow, nearly 2/3. That's a huge shift. So when we say AI tools, what exactly are we talking about? Are pastors just like typing in, "write me a sermon" into a chatbot? Or is it more nuanced than that? What are the specific programs or applications they're gravitating towards?
That's a great question, because it's not just one thing. The study highlights a few key players. Topping the list, no surprise here, is ChatGPT. About 26% of church leaders are using it. It's incredibly versatile, helping with everything from generating sermon outlines and research to crafting church communications, for newsletters or social media. Then you've got Grammarly, which about 11% use for polishing up text, emails, blog posts, making sure the language is clear and grammatically correct. Microsoft Copilot, an AI search engine, is used by 9% for research. And then there's Google Gemini, also for research, at 8%. Canva Magic Studio, an AI-driven design tool, is popular too, with 8% using it for visual elements like social media posts or event flyers. So it's a mix of writing aids, research tools, and even design assistants.
Okay, so it's a whole suite of tools being utilized, not just one. And you mentioned rapid embrace. Can you put that into perspective for us? How quickly has this trend really taken off? Is this something that's been slowly building, or has it been a pretty sudden surge?
It's definitely been a surge, almost shockingly fast. The study shows that 61% of pastors now report using AI weekly or even daily. Think about that for a second. More than half are incorporating AI into their work on a regular basis. And here's the kicker. That number is significantly up from just 43% in 2024. In fact, 25% of pastors are now using AI every single day. So in less than a year, we've seen a massive jump in adoption. It highlights how accessible and, frankly, how useful these tools are proving to be for busy church leaders trying to manage a demanding workload while also striving for creativity and efficiency in their ministry.
That's an incredible jump in such a short time. But with any new technology, especially one as powerful as AI, there have to be some concerns, right? I mean, we're talking about spiritual guidance here, not just marketing copy. What are some of the weighty, ethical, and practical considerations that church leaders are grappling with?
Absolutely. Those concerns are definitely there, and in fact, they're rising. The study found that church leaders are really thinking deeply about this. One of the top concerns is misinformation and the theological accuracy or alignment of AI-generated content. You don't want an AI giving flawed theological advice or misinterpreting scripture. Another big one is the fear of AI replacing or diminishing personal spiritual guidance and the quality of human relationships within the church community. There's a worry that if pastors rely too much on AI, it could lead to a less authentic or less personal connection with their congregations. Then there are the universal concerns with AI, privacy and data security, and also transparency and accountability, knowing where the AI content comes from and who's responsible for it. These are really critical questions when you're dealing with matters of faith.
Those are certainly valid and important concerns. It makes you wonder, are pastors using AI for, like, the core message of the sermon, or more for the peripheral stuff? Is there a distinction in how they're using it that helps mitigate some of these ethical dilemmas?
Yes, there absolutely is a nuance there, and it's a really important one. A separate survey from earlier this year by PushPay, another organization tracking church trends, actually shed more light on this. While they also found an 80% increase in AI use across all ministries, they noted that leaders are still reluctant to rely on AI for what they call pastoral content. So things like developing devotionals, crafting the core ideas for sermons, or coming up with specific pastoral care advice. Those are areas where AI use is still lower. The vast majority of AI use cases revolve more around content generation and editing for communication materials. Think emails, social media posts, website content, imagery. So it's more about streamlining the administrative and communication aspects rather than directly generating the spiritual heart of the message, which still largely remains a human endeavor.
That distinction makes a lot of sense. So it's about leveraging AI for efficiency in certain areas, but not entirely handing over the reins for the deeply spiritual or personal aspects. Despite these very real concerns, does the study indicate an overall optimism about AI's role in ministry? And what about training? Are churches preparing their leaders for this new reality?
There's definitely a strong sense of optimism, which is encouraging. Most church leaders, despite the concerns we just discussed, believe that AI can be genuinely beneficial if it's used as a tool, not as a replacement for human connection or spiritual discernment. And yes, they're really seeing the need for training. The report found that a whopping 87% of pastors are willing to invest in AI education and training for themselves and their staff. This could mean workshops, partnering with AI experts, or using ministry-specific AI resources. The idea is to proactively address those ethical considerations by developing robust AI policies and frameworks. It's about building trust and buy-in from congregations, and ultimately making sure they can reap the benefits of AI while mitigating the potential risks. They're keen to learn and adapt.
That's an incredible takeaway. It sounds like church leaders are walking a fine line, embracing innovation for efficiency and creativity while also staying grounded in their core mission and values. It's a reminder that technology, no matter how advanced, is ultimately a tool, and its impact depends entirely on how we choose to wield it. So, a fascinating insight into a very traditional institution navigating the digital age. Thank you so much for breaking this down for us. It really gives us a lot to think about.
My pleasure. It's a rapidly evolving landscape, and it'll be interesting to see how these dynamics continue to play out in the years to come. The conversation around technology and faith is only just beginning.
This is the ESM Podcast Show, where the love of Christ continues to grow. Lift your heart, let His presence glow. Together we rise, together